Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great Parliament's Sunday Conquest. We are here for the last Sunday Conquest tournament that will not be awarding points for an invitational. Let's go through really quickly about the various weekly events that we have. I am Cygnus, and my co-caster today will be The Rock. He is currently busy with a bit more of the back end. So our weekly events will be the Tuesday weekly event. That is a smaller Swiss best of three. You bring a single deck and is targeted towards a North American audience with a start time at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have our Thursday weekly events, which are targeted towards a European audience with a start time at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Though, if either of those times work for you, no matter where you are, you're free to join in. After that, we have the Eternal Casual Friday, which is the Swiss BO3, same type of thing, bring one deck, also capped at 4 rounds. That one's targeted more towards casual play, bringing in fun, silly decks, testing out stuff. Unlike the other events, for this one, you can go in and you only get participation points for the invitational cycle, whereas all the other ones you're going to get points for wins as well. So just come into the ECL Casual Friday with whatever deck you want, play at least 2 rounds, get your invitational point, and start racking up points. The top 16 players on invitational points will be able to play in the invitational at the end of the month. And then, of course, there's the Sunday events, like this event right here, which is a conquest format, just like the invitational will be. And these events are going to be happening every Sunday, except for invitational Sundays, which will be the last Sunday of the month. On the last Sunday of the month, these invitationals will be a double elimination bracket instead of a Swiss, whereas like tonight is a Swiss with a cut to top eight. Though maybe we wind up not doing a cut to top eight due to the number of players, because we'd already be in the top eight. We'll figure that one out. Yeah, no cut, so it's just going to be a Swiss tournament tonight. Today, wherever your time frame is. And as a reminder, tournaments will start awarding invitational points come the start of the month. So the first event that will actually award points will be the Thursday weekly. So the Tuesday weekly still won't be awarding points unless something is changed from what I last know. Beyond that, I want to talk really quickly about the Great Parliament's sponsors. We have the wonderful Inked Gaming, who is in the future hopefully going to be able to provide some mouse pads as part of the prize support. But for now, we have a code TGP12 that you can, or not TGP12, something 12. You can see it down below the stream, and that will allow you to get 12% off the your purchase from Ink Gaming. Ink Gaming is a great way to get custom playmats and mouse pads, and we also have Matcherino. Matcherino is where we are funding the prize pool for the Invitational. Right now, you can go in and see that there's currently over $80 up for grabs in the August Invitational. You can use our coupon code ECL August 18 to add 50 cents to the prize pool for absolutely free. You can also follow some various social media links on the page that clicking the match arena tile over there on our tiles below the stream will bring you to. These various social links will add additional money to the prize pool once again for completely free. And you know what? If you want to use a throwaway Twitter account for those, go for it. Beyond that, we have various ways to support the tournament with your own money. We have $1 for a stream shout out, $5 for the supported Discord role, role in the Discord that will let everyone in the Discord know that you're supporting the stream. $15 for coaching if you feel that you want some help from our players. We can supply that at the cost of $15. And once again, all that money goes to the tournament prize pool. Or if you have something you want to advertise, you can spend $25 and we'll set up an advertisement for that on the stream and you'll get to hear me talk about it. There's also streamer rewards, which are like, hey, if you want to send some money directly to me or The Rock and some money to the prize pool, you can do that. And lastly, there's Soylent. You can buy Soylent. Duncan Wren, who is our tournament organizer for this event, has spent $60 on Soylent, and all of those $60 have also gone to the prize pool. It's a very good deal. It's pretty much free Soylent. So I think that's my sellout spiel. At this point, it looks like we're just about ready to dive into the deck list for our first match, which will be Cross versus Kamato.
Yep. Hey everyone, this is The Rock. We're just going to talk about the decks real quick. So, Cygnus, you'd like to lead off with that?
Of course. So as you can see, we don't have an icon for Mono Time right now. Whoops. Cross is running. That's Chalice, if I recall. The
Yes.
TJP list is Chalice. The Firetime Shadow list is banned. It would have been a removal pile deck. Apparently, Kamado did not want to face off against removal pile.
Yes, both
Aside
players
from that,
banned removal pile, so not
yes.
too surprising. And then,
Aside from that, there's the Mono Time is a mid-range list, and the Combray list is apparently an aggro list.
Yep.
Over on Kamado's side of things, we have Praxis mid,
then
FJS Control, Fire Justice Shadow. It's kind of not removal pile, but also kind of close to removal pile.
it's a charge rod actually.
No, that's Firetime.
Oh, FJS. Sorry, his FJS got
Yeah.
banned. So
Oh, his FJS got banned?
yes, they both banned removal pile style decks, and then so he has charge rod, and then TJP mid / hate bears.
Yeah, the TJP mid is apparently being called Hate Bears. Well, I think the players are ready, so we're just about to start.
Yep. Go ahead and jump in there. Mono has a slow hand, so he might mull, but we will see.
So it looks like it's going to be Hate Bears versus Chalice for this first matchup. Getting a look at what's going on in Kamado's deck, do you feel it's advantaged against Cross here, or do you feel Cross is going to be advantaged here?
Feel like maybe Kamado's advantage. I don't know what the hate bears are exactly yet, but I mean we
Right.
see Kothon with Sandstorm Titan, Predatory Carnosaur, Teacher if he can land that is going to be
Teacher's
huge.
going to be the Hate Bear.
But we do know that Cross has Camel and Combray Healer to stop it.
Yeah, he's going to be able to throw down the Combray Healer here, which will happily block the Teacher, and Kamado doesn't have any way to kill that healer right now. My guess is that Kamado is going to be cloning the Teacher of Humility here
They're trying to,
with
yeah,
his mirror
maximize
image
getting it through.
of all decks to hit with the Teacher of Humility. I want to hit a Chalice deck with the Teacher of Humility.
Yes, yes. They probably draw more cards than other control decks. But here he just bees Power Fish and play Sandstorm Titan.
So he does. I suppose he was banking on the fact that Cross probably has more units to play, which of course he did.
Yep. And Kamada also has like a Svecha that he could want to hold the mirror image for as well too, and just kind of set up multiple turns of just ace spacing.
So here we see that Cross's merchant is the ever loving Aurelian merchant. You can go get another copy of Chalice, Disjunction, Scorpion Wasp, a Crest of Progress, or the Great Parliament. Seems like a good mix between the core relic of your deck, some sideboard cards and Scorpion Wasp or Disjunction to get back or fix your Chalice.
Yeah, here's
Crest.
see cross with the new Dino Explorer.
Oh yeah, Derry Cathian, Ripclaw Rider. So Derry has the summon effect of increase the cost of a spell in the enemy hand by 1, and also an ultimate where you can pay 4 and pay 3 to give Derry +4 and to overwhelm if you have 2 or more spells in your void. It does make sense to be playing Derry here in Chalice decks because you can Chalice Derry twice and then still alt Derry to make Derry into a pretty relevant threat. But speaking of pretty relevant threats, right now Kamado has quite a few of them.
Yeah, here's the classic combo of units plus stand together against a
Yeah,
harsh rule deck.
yeah, we see that Cross decides Cross might not be running harsh rolls. I mean, some Chalice lists do, some Chalice lists don't. We haven't seen them yet.
Let's see what Cross has.
Cross feels the need to alt Derry here, which means we know Derry Chalice value.
Yeah,
I suppose it's to try to increase the chances of getting in, or of killing that Teacher of Humility. But even killing that teacher, there's still going to be a 6/7 Sandstorm Titan. Look at that! He chooses not even to kill it, so there's still two 6/7 Sandstorm Titans, and Cross really doesn't have any way to deal with them. In the
yeah, it's gonna
market,
be
there's
tough.
not going to be anything else. It's right now if we had that advantage meter that the
Yeah,
that
Kamado would be favored or would be advantage right now since he has such a
yeah
big board, and Cross needs like Hailstorm plus Harsh Rule to even attempt to clear this.
yeah, and he doesn't
Here's,
really have a way to draw two of those things.
oh, and then yeah, here's Crystallize for I'm assuming for Time Mirror board stalls. So
Yeah, that would be the correct situation for Crystallize, and it's not going to wind up mattering here because Kamado has lethal without it.
yep, it's an interesting take from Kamado for kind of the TJP mid-range deck. So surprised you could make the power base work really with Initiative of the Sands, Awakened Student, Kothon, Teach Humility, and still
Right.
try to play these primal cards and also Carnosaur. But
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be a deck where pretty much the only double primal influence card is going to be that
the crystal.
Crystallize right there, which he can't actually cast right now. And with 4 units in play, Cross can block the 2/6/7s, the 4/4, and something else, and still takes lethal.
Yep. So
And that oh no, he has the Scorpion Wasp. He can send that in, which means since Kamado doesn't have the power to ultimate Kothon, I think that Cross might survive one turn here, but that's still going to result in there being a Sandstorm Titan and various other scary units out there,
Yeah, so
and
Cross just attacks with the
multiple
two
of
units that can kill something, but one's gonna get eaten by
right.
a wasp, and maybe double block here
You'd
with
have to triple block to kill
or triple, yeah.
Sandstorm Titan, but at this point, there's no real reason not to. You
Yeah.
still only lose one unit in the triple block.
Yeah, so I like this. Kamado notably can't cast Crystallize yet. Still missing a second Primal. But I'm just surprised Kamado could make a power base work that wants some, like, because Teacher just is so much better on turn 2 than, like, on turn 3 or 4. And most TJP decks kind of had the depleted power draw problems, but it looks like Kamado might have found a power base that works. So,
Well, right now we are seeing one part of it not working, but even then, Cross is sacrificing
well,
one of his blockers to draw a card,
here
essentially.
comes the second Primal, so Crystallize should just take the game.
And it will.
I guess he could. Can he Desert Marshal one of his own units to stay alive?
Desert Marshalling your own unit only works on permafrosts.
Oh, okay.
And even then, no, that would not have been survival.
Okay. So we see Kamado win the TJP faction mirror.
Yes, though definitely not an archetype mirror. We now will no longer be seeing Kamado's TJP as it has won. We'll give the players a little bit to decide what deck list they want to dive back in with. If you're Cross, do you feel comfortable running it back with the Chalice, knowing that your opponent's either going to be playing Charge Rod or Paraxis?
Maybe I don't have much experience with the Chalice, but I would just rather want to be an aggro deck here, especially if Kamado cues in the Charge Rod deck.
That's possible.
So looks like they're jumping back in immediately. So we'll see what they picked.
Yeah.
And there's Charge Rod.
And there's Mono Time.
Oh, okay.
Cross Mulligans, a hand that did not have much in the way of things to play off of the power, into a hand that will be able to play a turn 2 Teacher of Humility. Luckily for Kamado, there is the Fire Influence and the Torch there to deal with that Teacher.
Okay, so he does have Torch in this list now. I think yesterday him and Grimfam were not playing early interaction.
I feel like you just need to have the torches in these lists right now, in these Charge Rod lists, just due to the existence of Teacher. And of course, if you don't wind up needing to use the torch, it's something you can pitch to Bullet Shaper.
Yeah, so yeah, especially like just Teacher, Awakened Students. Alessi seems to be also one of the early heavy hitters on the block now that people have started to realize its potential in just normal decks. So
Yeah, for sure. Looking at you, a listening moment.
yeah, just the Cumbre aggro. So, but slow games from both players now, it seems.
That's for sure.
I like the Venom Rider here over Diogo, just because he can activate Venom Rider next turn, just get a free kill on some big giant time unit.
Yeah, like maybe an Owlhead.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just see that Venom Rider has a lot more early value than Diogo, who has a lot more late game value. So I can definitely tell that the version of Charge Rod that Kamado is running is different from the version I'm running because I don't actually have any Venom Riders in it right now.
You don't have any. That's pretty fun, I think. I played with it a little bit early on.
I
But
don't have any riders in the deck. I, of course, have the riders because they were from one of the story quest things. So we see Cross giving the World Bear Behemoth Killer so that it can deal with the Dioko and thus survive to be able to play two random power cards from his deck the next turn he chooses to attack with it or once again give a killer. It seems to be Cross's deck is very focused on giving things killer, since we can see the two Twilight Hunts and the Xenon Initiation after one Twilight Hunt has already been used. And Kamado uses his answer the call, which goes and grabs a Caleb. That Caleb is, of course, the only unit because there was no rod to give to it in those top cards, but it still picked up flying thanks to that Elder's Feather. That is, however, not going to be enough to let that Caleb survive getting killed by another World Bear Behemoth. However, the World Bear Behemoth is going to die here too, thanks to that torch. So, on the next turn, do you think Kamado wants to play out another Answer the Call or go with the Divining Rod on Venom Rider? I guess it doesn't
well,
matter because. What? What? Oh, Cross used
what just?
Twilight Hunt instead of Xenon Initiation. Oh,
Cross just
that's a feels bad moment.
misclick there.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
definitely.
Okay.
But he still has the initiation for the Dawnwalker, which is definitely a strong play. Let's see what Answer the Call gets.
Yep.
And it's going to be a Heart of the Vault. That's not exactly what you want to pick up a rod, but it doesn't look like there's going to be a rod for it to pick up. It is able to kill the killer, or the Dawnwalker without killer, rather, and provides 2 turn clock worth of pressure that Cross currently does not have a way to deal with, and the draw of an Initiate of the Sands and a Xenon Initiation is not going to be a way to kill that Heart of the Vault. I mean, Initiate, in theory, could block Heart of the Vault 1 turn, but as we can see, Kamado still has 2 other units that are going to be charging in right here for the same amount of pressure as would have been with just the Heart of the Vault. Predatory Carnosaur is not going to be enough to allow Kamado to not be able to kill Cross this turn, as the Dawnwalker that
Oh,
comes back, of
and
course,
there's
comes
an Ikaria just to seal the deal.
exhausted. Yeah, why not just add insult to injury? Look at my Charge Rod. My Charge Rod is amazing. And Kamado is now up 2-0 over Cross. Kamado now only has the Praxis deck left to win with, whereas Cross needs to win with all 3 of his decks up against that Praxis. Do you feel there's any deck in Cross's set of 3 that has a somewhat poor matchup against Kamado's?
Maybe the Combre aggro, just because I know Kamado's Praxis decks are a little more proactive, so
Right. And if you were in this situation, do you feel like you want to start off with the worst matchup to get over the hump? Or maybe try to start off with a better matchup to get the momentum build up before you have that harder fight?
I would just want to get a good matchup and just kind of get back in the swing. I know sometimes you can get a little down if you're 0-2, so but they have jumped back in already. We see.
And it looks like Cross is bringing back the mono time.
Okay, so he just wants to play who can have the bigger units matchup.
Yeah, and right now it doesn't look like either player really has any big units here.
No, but Kamado has a great start here though. If he can get a little bit of early pressure, so since he has initiate and teacher on turn 1 and 2.
However, since Cross is going first, that could result in the Aurelia Merchant there to block the teacher.
Yep, that's true. we see Kamado just scouting a Sandstorm Titan, keep on top.
Yeah, that's the sort of card you keep on top in most matchups. Oh, and there's Cross picking up his own Teacher of Humility. We'll see if maybe he can work out a way to be able to hit with that.
Yep. Here they're like just playing the Merchant.
Is there anything you want to get out of the market? The options are Infinite Hourglass, World Bear Behemoth, Disjunction, Xenon Obelisk, and Striking Snake Formation. I might be looking at that Obelisk personally.
Obelisk, yeah, just have the bigger units, but a little surprised that there's no Carnosaur in the market. I haven't played much with the Striking Snake, which kind of, I guess, does the same thing, but Carnosaur is also just a unit you can play. So,
However, Cross went with the plan of playing Teacher of Humility, giving it Killer with Twilight Hunt, and trading 2 for 1 with his opponent's Teacher. I hope he wasn't once again making a mistake of expecting Twilight Hunt to give his Teacher +1/+1, because Teacher of Humility is, of course, not a dinosaur.
I don't think so, although that would be an interesting dinosaur to have. I think it just make sure it dies, play around Torch, purifies.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yawning a bit there because I only woke up an hour ago.
Yep.
World Bear Behemoth here draws 2 time sigils off the friendly wisp. I suppose that's not exactly what he's looking for. Ooh, and the Praxis Displacer bouncing that World Bear Behemoth means that these Sandstorm Titans are going to get in pretty much uncontested. One of them will get chump blocked by the now burnt friendly wisp,
Yep. And now we just
but
see the power of Displacer just letting you crack in for huge damage in the mirrors.
yeah. And here's the thing: if Kamado finds a fire sigil, which he did not, he would have been able to attack with the Sandstorm Titans and
Into World Bear and have
use
Heart, yeah. That would have been very
use
good.
the heart to finish off the World Bear Behemoth.
Oh, so Kamada is using Fire Merchants now. I think typically most decks play Time, but
Yeah, by default, I would generally expect Time Merchant, but Kamado seems to want to be able to have that extra reach from that Obliterate that we see him having grabbed.
ooh. And here comes the Striking Snake.
Oh, yeah. Look at those 1/4s with Killer. They're actually relevant to this matchup because they can kill the Initiate of the Sands and the Trailmaker. However, doing that would leave him open to an attack from this Sandstorm Titan, that Praxis Displacer, and the Ixton Merchant. Instead, he goes for killing the Praxis Displacer. And that, I think, is going to result in Cross losing this matchup 3-0, because Kamado is going to be able to follow up that attack with the Obliterate for lethal.
Yep.
Congratulations to Kamado for winning your match against Cross. Apparently, we have some other reports in that Magikarp beat Air Kyoto 3-1.
Yep. So, see if we can get a backup real quick. I know we still playing our RNG and Lights Out Ace.
That's a fairly hype matchup. I don't actually have RNG or Lights Out Ice. Do you have either of them?
Do not, but we will get them in
Yeah.
just a few seconds. So, we'll go to the brief break while we get everything set up for you all. So, be right back
See you
in one
soon.
second.
So back with round two. It turns out that the matchup between RNG and Lights Out Ace got finished up right as we went to break, with Lights Out Ace taking it 3-0 and RNG deciding to drop. That means we now have 6 remaining players, and one of those matchups is this one right here with Magikarp versus Jez. The players have already selected their bans, with Magikarp banning, or Magikarp's Stonescar Aggro being banned, and Jez's Hoodoo Flyers being banned. And I can say a sneak peek that Jez is playing the Elysian mid here. Not yet sure what Magikarp's going to be on, but I suspect we will see soon.
Yep. Jump in and see what they have. And so looks like we have a Praxis. Magikarp chose Praxis mid, and Jez chose Elysian. Okay. So some more time matchups.
Yep. Time mid matchups. Those are going to be a fair bit of a thing throughout here. So it looks like Jez is probably going to be keeping this hand because as a turn 1 Initiate of the Sands into a turn 2 Teacher of Humility and some other power, everything he really needs.
Yep. We see Magikarp and Mulligan his hand. I think it was a little slow.
Yeah, and now he has the torch to deal with that teacher, which is ever relevant. Sure, he wouldn't have known that Jez was on one of the teacher lists, but there's a statistically high chance.
Yeah. I think most time decks play teacher, so.
Yeah, and 2 out of 3 of Jez's decks are time decks. So how do you feel about Magikarp bringing every single player and one other faction as his 4 decks?
The man knows what he likes to play.
Yeah, apparently he does.
And I would bet Torch is in every single deck list.
Probably, but look at that. Magikarp chooses to torch the Initiate of the Sands. That means the teacher is going to land uncontested.
Yep. That is a new interesting dynamic that time decks have now, is do you torch Initiative Sands or hold it for the teachers that now exist, so.
Yeah, the conventional wisdom used to always be bolt the bird every time, but here we are seeing Magikarp having to deal with disciplinary weights.
Yep, so Magikarp had gone for kind of a tempo, already having one initiative and playing another in hand, so now
And
Jez
look at
has
that.
2 teachers.
Both players drew a Teacher of Humility off of the disciplinary weights trigger. That's
One
pretty
costs a lot
fun.
more than the other, though.
Definitely.
And we see Magikarp can't cast Heart of the Vault yet, even though on 6 power, so he's just going to play a 5-cost teacher.
Yeah, and that teacher can be equivocated or permafrosted, but you probably don't want to be equivocating a 5-cost teacher since it'll turn into something with 5 cost.
Yeah, I think Permafrost plus teacher here. Just get,
Yep.
as I say, keep telling Jez to take this.
Yeah. So Magikarp once again is going to be letting the teacher connect with his face. So now those cards that he draws
They're just uncastable
off of
almost.
disciplinary weights or even off of his Heart of the Vaults are probably going to be pretty much uncastable. And of course, cards out of the market as well are going to be increased in cost by 8. That is a lot.
By 6 currently. But yeah, we'll see if Magikarp wants to block this one. I don't think so, because you already have 2, then it's all the same pretty much, and it's a card draw. He might hit a Sigil or some kind of power, so.
Right.
But
that's always possible.
10 cost Torch. It's a little late to the party.
Yeah. That's going to be pretty tough to resolve right there.
But Heart comes down and kills Temple Scribe.
And I mean, the things drawn off the heart are only increased by 4 in cost.
Value.
Yeah,
So Jez here could just play a Titan, or he could equivocate and just keep pushing damage. I'm gonna slow play a little bit here.
That's reasonable, I would say. You don't feel like your opponent's really got anything to surprise you with. but they maybe have a world bear behemoth or something that you want to be able to set up perhaps a Cirso to be able to kill into the future. However, it looks like he's just going to use the killer on the Sandstorm Titan to kill off the Heart of the Vault and
Yeah.
make attacks with the World Bear Behemoth
Yeah, here
pretty
we
bad.
see Jess getting aggressive with the equivocating. Magikarp just scoops it up.
Yeah, since it's going to be an attack in with those three teachers, at this point it's pretty much all over. And there we see the time mid range beating the time mid range. Um, except Jez was on the Elysian
Oh,
time mid range there.
my mistake.
The Rock is, of course, our producer as well as one of the casters here, so it's very reasonable to expect that he might make one or two mistakes. It's pretty tough to produce and cast at once. I've done it before, and the tournament basically went up in flames.
So they've jumped back pretty quick here. I'm gonna imagine Magikarp maybe just runs back Praxis here.
Well, it looks like Jez is diving in with Praxis too. Jez's Praxis, of course, is a much bigger list that's making use of Titans, including Great Count Titan. I'm gonna have to reload because I'm having a spectator bug. That would make for a pretty ugly hand cam. Alright, it looks like the players are up and ready, so shall we dive into the game?
Yeah.
Jez has a hand that will allow him to play Power Stone on 2 and a Lunar Magus on 3, but that Great Kiln Titan is still going to be a long way from there. Jez does decide to keep anyway. Yeah. 10 cost torch, finally balanced. Oh, and Jez manages to top deck a Teacher of Humility. Of course, Magikarp has the option of being able to put out Aurelian Merchant as a blocker for that teacher, and that's probably the strategy he's going to take. However, instead he's going to go with Dawnwalker as a blocker. That's a very reasonable play here too.
Yep. Okay, so Jez queued up his Jumbo Praxis, as he's been calling it, so he's going all the way up to Great Kiln Titans. I know he was playing Marison the Eldest previously, but I don't think that is in his list today. Nope. He does have the Thundering Karasaurs, though, which he said has been doing great work against Alessi decks, but I don't think we have many of those today, so...
He also has a Novaquake Titan in the market.
Oh, yeah, he's been loving the Novaquake Titan. He just gets into giant... His deck is kind of built a board stall and then just Merchant for Titan and win the game.
Yeah, that's quite the deck. So now we can see that Jez is getting that Nightfall and life gain value off of the double Lunar Magus, whereas Magikarp's just getting the card draw value off of it.
Yep, and the life gain, I don't know how much it'll matter here, but I mean, Jez also just needs to draw cards to get up to his expensive cards, so...
Yeah, we see Magikarp has already managed to make a killer Dawnwalker, and that is a very scary recursive threat. Jez is going to have to find a... Oh, I keep forgetting the name of the card.
Purify?
Purify, yeah. And is Jez even running Purifies?
No, he has no Purifies. Not even in
Well,
the market, so...
that means that I suppose Jez's plan is just to go bigger.
Yep. He can maybe do some tricks here, like just slowing down the Dawnwalker removal.
Yeah, the slowing down the Dawnwalker there does have a double effect of also making it so that Magikarp can't profitably attack with the Sandstorm Titan because it would be trading off with two Lunar Magi.
Yep. So here, Magikarp torch or Heart of the Vaults a Lunar Magus in case he hits a torch or a Purify. So I like that. Doesn't hit it, but I think it's still pretty good high upside play.
How do you feel about not attacking with the Sandstorm Titan there?
I mean, it gets double blocked, and there's nothing that really Magikarp can really get rewarded for.
Yeah, I suppose since Heart of the Vault on top of the damage from the Sandstorm Titan is not enough to kill the second Lunar Magus, it makes sense just to wait on to pick up the Dawnwalker recursion as a way of dealing with those Magi.
Yeah, and I mean, the life gain from Nightfall, Jez only has the 4 Lunar Magus, and life total's not kind of minor in this matchup since it's usually just the bigger board kind of just runs you over eventually. So life total.
And of course, the player with the bigger board right now is absolutely Magikarp.
Yep, but Jez gets to roll a great Kiln Titan here potentially and see what he hits.
Yeah, he knows it's not going to be Heart of the Vault that he hits. And it's going to be a Trailmaker. That's not a big one.
Nope. So here.
Question.
Okay,
is Magikarp supposed to attack before Killering? Because he could killer the Great Kiln Titan after a block?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, attack with your 3 Sentinels and then Dawnwalker, the Great Kiln Titan. And he still has plenty of cards to play.
That does seem to be the strat that Magikarp is going for. It's making for a tough blocking decision for Jez.
Yeah, Jez can't even... Magus and Trailmaker don't trade with anything, so he was just going to chump block. I think he's just going to try to set up multiple Great Kiln Titans.
The thing is, Magikarp can now play a... Well, he can killer with the Dawnwalker and then play a Carnosaur.
Here he just goes for the clean kill and just, yeah.
That works out too, I suppose.
What is he going to get from the market here? I'm not sure what he has, but I guess it's a Xena initiation. Okay.
I'm not sure what he needs at this point. I don't think Jez can really stabilize. I mean, there's a chance, depending on what the top 2 cards of Jez's deck are going to be, because those 2 Great Kiln Titans are going to toss some stuff into play, but I imagine it's going to have to be pretty insane for it to be enough.
Yep. The initiation, though, lets him just play a World Bearer and kill Great Kiln Titans, so... And just have lethal, I would assume. But Kiln Titans hit 2 blockers.
Yeah, but they're pretty small blockers, and... Among other things, Magikarp does have the World Bear Behemoth that's already in play.
Yep.
And, of course, the Dawnwalker that can do exactly what it just did.
Yep, so here's what we talked about, just World Bear getting the initiation to kill a Great Kiln Titan. You get a little bit of value with the attack trigger, so not total card disadvantage, and yeah, a space here. And
it's not lethal, because the Great Kiln Titan can block the World Bearer, and Temple Scribe can jump one of the Heart of the Vaults.
Yep,
and then Jez can follow up with Bonding Novaquake a Titan.
Yeah,
so maybe Jez can stabilize. I mean, Dawnwalker probably won't be able to kill her in after being played. I mean, it depends on what the Great Kiln Titan hits. It turns out if the Great Kiln Titan hits a small blocker, that actually would kill Jez here.
Well, the Dawnwalker will be
oh yes, it gets silenced. So. My bad.
Yeah, silence and then bounce your board, so...
Yeah. It's been a while since I last read Novaquake Titan, so I was assuming, oh, it just bounces the enemy board.
You didn't craft 4 premiums on set 1. So now, yeah, Magikarp is the one kind of behind here. Do you like maybe just trying to play Heart of the Vaults and seeing if you can just get lethal with their damage?
Yeah, I mean, those Heart of the Vaults are silenced, though. So
yes.
Going to be able to
forgot about
damage
the Titan 30 seconds after we mentioned it, so Yeah, they're just 6 cost 6/6s now. So Magikarp's kind of behind now.
Yeah, it it's going to be fairly hard for Magikarp to play enough threats in turn to be able to actually get in with any one of them, even though any one of them would be lethal. Ooh, now that is a bit scary from Jez choosing to attack here, but I think it's going to work out anyway because of that second Great Count Titan showing up. And
Yep.
hey, look, I'll head.
And I mean, Jez knows most of the cards in Magikarp's hands, so it's not like
True,
a
true.
surprise just removal or anything.
So, due to that stabilize, Jez is now up 2-0 over Magikarp.
Yeah, I received the a big Praxis deck, which I don't think I've seen anywhere lately. So
And it worked out very well there. Jez now only has the Justice Primal Shadow Nostrix deck to play.
yeah, we'll see how quick they jump. Looks like they back in already.
That they are.
And Magikarp is picked up, chose to bring Skycrag aggro.
Yeah, that is a deck that should have a fairly decent matchup against a Nostrix-based control deck.
Yeah, Jez queued up another one of his decks he's been putting a lot of work into is the JPS Nostrix.
Right. Like, all versions of Nostrix decks that I've played in the past have been pure Huru.
Yeah, I've not played much with Nostrix, but I know comboing it with like Shelter Wing Riders is pretty big game.
Right.
So, and I think Jez deck is basically just kind of Huru Flyers splashing for some removal. I see like some Annihilates, Black Sky Harbingers. That's
That's
actually
a
it.
fairly reasonable
Oh,
way
and Mokto.
to go about things.
Yep.
Yeah, Mokto is a flyer. So, the Huru Flyers are actually going to be fairly decent against Magikarp, except for the fact that they're just going to get permafrost.
Yep. But right now Magikarp's just gonna deploy some threats before the removal. So
True. And I suppose Magikarp is totally fine if Jez decides to attack in with the pacifier,
yep,
because Magikarp is definitely the aggro deck in this matchup.
for sure. Small thing, I think Jez should have played Wisdom first before his power, just in case he might want to play a Crest, but didn't get punished too much since he was gonna probably play the Seek power anyways. So here, Magikarp's just gonna probably warp in the Yeti, get card advantage, and crack in for 5.
That is correct. I totally would have been happy playing that Cinder Yeti there, even if it were in my hand, if I were Magikarp. Now, I want to take this short lull in the action to point out, Jez, that 2718 is, in Jez's name, is actually Jez's date of birth. Jez is a time traveler that has come back from the future to play Eternal at its starting form. Eternal in the year 2718 is the dominant economic driving force of the whole world. And as you can see, this is all proven by the fact that Jez is using the premium Time Scion as the avatar.
Yes. Fortunately, he is a West Coast player, so he sometimes doesn't wake up at 9 a.m. for weekend events. Otherwise,
True.
we would all get destroyed with all the insight he would have about this game, being from the future.
Yes.
So,
That said, there have been various balance changes in the several hundred years that Jez might be forgetting having happened and expecting cards to be a bit different than they actually are, as we see.
But we do see Magikarp take the game with the Obliterate on Harbinger, so gets his feet back
Exactly.
under him.
Yes, he does. So, which deck do you think he'll bring in? I'm thinking maybe Ricano to follow that up.
Uh, I would guess something with fire. I think that's a safe
Yeah,
bet.
that's a pretty likely bet. My guess is it also won't have Primal or Shadow, because if it does, he's made a major mistake and is going to get a game loss.
Yep. So haven't looked to see if his Ricano aggro or just more of the Valkyrie decks we've seen popping up lately. It looks like it's the
He's,
bigger
as far
Valkyrie
as I
mid
know, a
range.
mid-range Valkyrie deck. Yeah.
And they've jumped back in already, so we know what Jez is going to be on. And
And we're about to find out what Magikarp is
Ricano
on.
mid range.
You're gonna have to cycle the scene so that the players can actually see.
Yep.
This is a video and not a podcast.
I don't want them to see my friends list.
Ah,
So yeah, Magikarp on the Ricano Valkyries that we've seen started to pick up in popularity lately after Tobo's win.
yep. And Jez is on a hand that has a fair bit of removal.
Yep.
Ooh, the Valkyrie Enforcer lines up perfectly with
Oh
the Bullet
yeah.
Shaper. Yes, it's the version of the deck that's also running into the story.
Yep, I think it's pretty close to the most of this. They have one end of the story and 3 harsh rules, and then a
Yeah.
harsh rule in the market. So nothing too spicy at a Magikarp's list here. He's pretty much just trying to play the kill you in the air plan.
That is certainly a possible plan here.
Notably though,
And it's
Jez does have a Hailstorm in the market. Specifically, I know working with him, talking about 4 Valkyries. So
yeah, that works out well against most of the Valkyries and that non-Valkyrie that we see in Magikarp's hand.
2 of them.
Yes, both
In
of
fact,
those
so
non-Valkyries. Only one of them was there when I said it.
yes. So yeah, Magikarp just gonna slow play a little, and make his Razan a little bigger, so it can actually attack into Harbingers and Shelter Wings if needed. So,
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable play.
or I guess Shelter Wing would still kill it, but so here Jez had to play Seek for his last power, so no Mocto, and then just gonna stand off. And Jez is the control deck in this matchup, so this makes sense to just not take unnecessary random damage.
And Razan shows up to kill Valkyrie Enforcer. This Razan, of course, does not have lifesteal because there are no spells in Magikarp's Void at all.
And I think a free torch is fine here, so just kind
Yeah.
of retake the board. Razan does not have to have lifesteal to be good. I don't think so.
True.
At least when you summon him.
Yeah. Jez follows up with killing the Icaria because he doesn't want to have to deal with multiple attacking threats, and decides to play the Inquisitor Macto rather than a removal spell to deal with Razan. I suppose he's looking to be able to block the Razan with the Macto, and unless Magikarp gets a removal spell of some sort from his
Yeah, we get a
market,
vanquish. I like the Mocto. I mean, his life total is still fairly high, so he can kind of slow play, take some damage, and then eventually just have a Mocto redraw at some point. So
there we see that Magikarp must not have had a Valkyrie Enforcer in the market, which would have been perfect there to deal with Jez's play.
he does not. He has a Vanquish, Harsh Rule, Rizan, Akara, and the Ricano banner. So I haven't seen many lists playing any Enforcers in the market. It's kind of a play you just want earlier. As weird. I mean, silence is very useful, but kind of like a more of a curve play.
Right. Jez is down to 11, and that Amelie does represent a decent clock.
Yeah.
However, there's literally three different ways for Jez to kill it in hand.
Yeah, it will get a.
Well,
He'll
two
make a
ways to
1/1
kill it.
though.
Only two ways to actually kill it.
Permafrost's pretty close in this matchup. Just gotta watch out for Valkyrie Enforcer.
Mhm.
I think Magikarp should attack here. If he blocks, that's great for you. I don't think Jez will, knowing about things like Rune Hammer or Torches. So,
Yeah,
and
there's too many ways.
here's Mokto, just a few cards after it, just 2 turns I think after it died. So that's great for Jez here.
For sure.
And
So let's see which removal spells Jez decides to use here and on what. Jez really likes the plan of going aggro with Black Sky Harbinger, but that is going to result in it dying to a torch here.
here, I mean, I think permafrosting. Yeah, that way you save a way to kill a card if it should come off the top. If your Mokto gets answered or something. So,
Right.
but Magikarp just draws another power and has to just kind of pass.
So
Gonna
far, Jez definitely seems stabilized.
Yeah. So Jez here could attack, but I think it's safer just to hold and just play the waiting game.
When you have less life than your opponent, there's no reason to try to race them.
Yeah. At least if Jez is just both players are just kind of drawing power. So
And those harsh rolls in Magikarp's deck start to look a lot better for Jez than for Magikarp.
yep. So yeah, Merchant here pitching a power to go get. Oh, okay. Went ahead and got Nostrix. So the question is, I guess, will he buff Mokta or get an additional solid threat with the Merchant?
Well, he's able to do both. Oh, sorry.
I mean, yeah, with the Mentor
Yeah.
ability. If you want bigger Moktos or diversify with a Aegis 8
I
force.
like the bigger Moktos here because it means that they can block Ikarias and survive.
Yes. Nostrix can also block it too. So I think here now, Jez is going to potentially start attacking with Mokto.
Yeah, that does seem to be the play that I would be making here.
Yeah, here we see Shelter Wing Rider, put back this Justice Sigil. Attack with both. Okay.
That's fair enough, since I'll have the Shelter Wing Rider back to block any potential Sudden Ikaria.
Yep, and otherwise you have lethal next turn, so Jez is likely. Well, I guess he could play Great Bowmaster instead of the Harsh Rule, or both, and kill Harsh Rule and then kill the Genève Merchant.
Yeah, there is definitely something to be said for that line of play. It would also result in there being 3 spells in Magikarp's board, so that he does gain the life from the Rizan shooting the Genève Merchant, and at this point in the matchup, that does seem to be fairly relevant.
Yep. So here Harbinger comes down. I think Jez is gonna kill this. I don't think he Magikarp hasn't played a Ikaria yet, so maybe he can deduce that there's not one in his hand. Even though, yeah, Ikarias off the top are still always scary. And right on time.
There's that Ikaria off the top. And
It's like I'm from the
Jez did not
future.
have a way to profitably block it.
Nope. Yeah, he's just gonna have to take a little bit on the chin here. But he draws a second Slay, so I think that's the plan.
Yep. As strong as Ikaria is, she does die to a 2-for-1.
Yep.
And it's usually
Oh.
worth it to 2-for-1 yourself to kill Ikaria.
But yeah, right away Magikarp draws the Ikaria buffed unit, and it's a melee, so
Well, that's terrifying. And that's not going to be enough to profitably block Venomilly.
nope. I mean, who needs card draw when you should always top deck a perfect card? So
Hmm.
yeah,
Jez, however, could still top deck that Macto.
yes, that would be great here. Well,
I mean,
that's a different
it
Mocto.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that Macto because it does not have Destiny, but that's still a pretty good top deck.
Yep, Magikarp's a little flooded out here, but that's the nature of not being a primal deck with card filtering and card draw. So a little,
Right.
and I don't think Jess is playing any power that gives him flood prevention.
I don't believe he is. I mean,
No, I just see one Emerald Waystone. I mean, it makes sense when a deck trying to cast Ikaria and Razan on curve,
yeah.
so a
I
little
mean, the
unfortunate.
crests are kind of flood prevention, but still not much in the way of that.
The crests do help, and Rakano doesn't have the greatest. I can't the like standards or uh, monuments for this style of deck.
You're sounding a bit robotic to me, which might mean that I'm sounding robotic to you. And since you're the one where the sound is coming from, I hope that chat isn't having a hard time hearing me here. I don't think Magikarp is anything that will really save him in the market. Maybe something that will delay the inevitable in
Well,
that.
here we get end of the story value.
Yeah, the tribute is relevant here because it means that the Shelterwing Rider fully dives as well. We are once again in a top deck war, but it's a top deck war where Jez has two 10-10 Mactos as very realistic possible top decks. However, that Razan matches up very well against the Huru Pacifier, so
Yep.
there is still a world where Magikarp wins this.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
see
for
if it's the
sure.
world we're living in.
We'll see if Jez go ahead and attacks since he's not going to block anyways. But I guess he could prevent a top deck like a Ikaria or something. So, or a Whirling Duo as well.
Right.
But he's going to fall down to a 5 here, and
Hey, Kothon works.
it does. Yeah.
That's a Kothon that he's going to be able to ult right away, and there's the 4/4 Owl, which can trade off with Razan.
And Roomhammer would have been great here if it wasn't for the pacifier.
Yeah. There goes Razan, who of course had to attack there, as
Oh,
he's a reckless guy.
and here comes a big
One
boy
of the
Mocto.
Mactos.
Yep, Jez here can freely attack now with 2 units.
As the Kothon has endurance, and the Macto will also be back to block.
Oh, but he's going to play it a lot safe, or very safe, and just attack with... Nope. We do see attack with the pacifier as well.
He was definitely considering playing it super safe there, but I don't think it's realistic to need to have more than 2 blockers in this particular matchup.
I would agree. And yeah, just the time of their clock. So, but here we see another Mocto drawn right away for Jez. So, and draws a
And
third
yet
one.
another Macto.
A nice premium one as well.
Yeah, I think I'm getting why he chose to buff the Mactos with that Nostrix. Ooh, how do you feel about that choice to not play the third Nocto here? Since he's going to be able to have back with what is essentially the penultimate round, though we will be running another round after this. This is the round that will determine the winner of tonight's event. And that winner is either going to be Lights Out Ace or Jez, as both of these players are currently undefeated.
Yep. So both brought fairly traditional. Well, I guess Lights Out Ace brought a more known lineup with Kennedans, Xenon mid range, Praxis mid range, which got banned, and FJS removal pile. Whereas Jez we saw last round with his jumbo big Praxis deck, Elysian mid that got banned, JPS Nostrix control, and Huru flyers.
So once again, you're going fairly robotic for me. So the question is if I'm going robotic for you.
I think it's me. I'm getting a little bit internet spikes, so that is
All
my
right.
apologies.
Okay.
But here we
It
see
looks like the players are pretty much ready.
Yep.
And
Lights Out Ace
let's
queued
dive
up, FJS removal pile, and excuse me, Jez picked his Huru deck. So
Yep. So it sounds like Jez is mulliganed into a pretty good looking hand, actually.
yep, I think Ace probably is going to mulligan this since he only has fire sources and one seek power.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so this is a much more reasonable hand. Okay, so he actually has wanted posters. I don't think I've seen those in removal pile lately.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen Wanted Poster.
So yeah, I think here, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a slow game. Jez only has 2 power, but he does have 2 Kothons to play. Annihilate is probably going to get bottom since either the Huru deck or JPS doesn't have a lot of single faction units. And Ace doesn't know actually what he's on yet. So
Right, but he knows that either of the decks are going to be a deck that's full of multi-faction units, because Huru has so many incredibly strong multi-faction units.
yep. So, fortunately,
So that Ace fires off the Wanted Poster on the Kothon, and is going to be planning on killing it next turn. But there's another Kothon as well.
yeah. So I mean, but yeah, Ace just gonna. Ooh. Yep, just draw tons and tons of cards here.
Mm-hmm.
Picks up another wanted poster.
Because why not?
Yeah. So Ace's version of this deck has just tons of card draw with wanted poster, quarries, and 4 call the deck of or 4 copies of each one. So he's really just looking to amass tons of cards. I guess they're not. None of them are card advantage. It's more card selection, really, unless you can double up wanted poster on some units. So, but the deck kind of wants to find Akaria or Razan. So,
Yeah, I mean, the Wanted Poster is card parity, which is sometimes all you need when dealing with your opponent's Huru aggro list.
yeah, unfortunately, Jess here missing a power to play this Fetcha, so he's just gonna get harsh ruled, presumably on Ace's turn.
Yeah, and there is no power in Jez's market, so that's not an option, and none of the options in Jez's market are particularly exciting right now, so he might choose not to play the Geneva Merchant, but I still like the line of playing the Geneva Merchant and not grabbing anything from the market, because it still represents an attacker that would have survived this harsh rule.
Yeah. It does feel a little sad not to be able to use your market, but I think, yeah, just maybe keeping the pressure going, so. I guess Jess could have gotten a Hoover banner, but I think he liked his hand way too much, so. And here, yeah, he just.
He sends Emily away to go grab his Fetya.
Excuse me, I was looking at the wrong deck list. That's his JPS deck that has a power.
Like I said, Jez has no power in the market, and will then have to find a power to be able to play these Svetyas. He chose to send Amelia away for the second Svetya
Yep.
because chaining Svetyas is, of course, very powerful, and they're something that can do work while being at a lower cost than those other things that he sent away. And the cost right now is very relevant.
Yep. And here, Pacifier is a decent draw. Ace probably just gonna slam a card, though.
I
And
mean,
Jess
that's
has
what you do
no way
when
to
you
answer
draw
it.
Akaria. Yeah, the closest he can do to answering Akaria is finest hour it and then silence it.
Yeah, he did pick
And
up the power to do that, so that's nice for him. But I mean, Lights Out is just gonna jam probably this second Akaria. He could also wait and just kind of clear the board up a little and then play Akaria after the harsh rule, which is probably the better line. Jez with the
well,
attacks here. Interesting.
right. No, that makes sense because he can use the finest hour to kill the Akaria like that.
Yep. Still trades a 2-for-1, but the Akaria is
And he
actually off the board.
and he throws out the Valk Enforcer there. That's
But
a bit awkward because it just dies to the harsh rule. And isn't there to deal with the Aegis the next Akaria will have.
yeah.
And that next Akaria is a 10-10.
Yeah, Ace immediately draws Akaria buffs, so
Easy. And Svetya definitely does not stop Lights Out Ace from playing Akarias. We do see that Valkyrie Enforcer there to pop Akaria's Aegis, but that's all it does, and then it dies. And that means Lights Out Ace has lethal here, attacking in with the two Akarias. So
Yep.
we won't see any more three-faction action from Lights Out Ace, but it's still totally possible that Jez will wind up getting a chance to play some three-faction action. I suspect players will get back in the game pretty quickly, but let's take a quick moment to think about what decks that they might bring. It's pretty exciting to see Lights Out Ace bringing Xenon. I know he likes it a lot, but it's been a while since I've seen Xenon played, and like no one else in this tournament has been running it.
Yep. So we'll see what they're doing. Looks like they did jump right back in, so
That is correct.
and Lights Out Ace queued up the Praxis mid deck. What did Jez bring this time?
The Praxis mid deck. So we're going to see that time mirror. Not just time mirror, but a Praxis mirror. And I have to say that since Jez both has access to a turn 2 teacher and is going first, that I think Jez is favored in this match. This particular game here.
Yeah, I mean Lights Out probably needs a bigger, pretty fast draw, but does not have
Shoutouts
one.
to Lights Out Ace for using the objectively correct premium avatar.
So
Who needs all that silly glowing sand or whatever you get around your avatar for whatever other premium? It's it's all about that fire and just everything about Molotnikova is perfect. And we see Jez does get to hit in with the Teacher of Humility, so That's going to make a lot of various things that Lights Out Ace can do a lot harder to do, including grabbing things from the market, because the things from the market are going to be much more expensive. However, he is able to play a Dawnwalker here that can perhaps trade with the second teacher of humility so that he dodges having two disciplinary weights on him. At that point, that's really heavy. Like that goes from discipline to neck breaking.
Yeah, but I mean, Lights Out S can just block the uninfiltrated teacher, so we'll see if Jez decides to attack with it or hold it back for now.
Seems like he is holding back. He will be able to play the predatory Connoisseur next turn as a way to kill off the Dawnwalker, but that's only temporary. And Lights Out Ace is, of course, going to be able to play a second unit here as well.
Yep. So, looks like Jez is looking at his market again, seeing what he would want.
Yeah, that was me looking at Jez's market.
I see. Okay, so
You
yeah,
don't
Lights
get
Out.
to see when Jez looks at the market. Lights Out decides to play two units, being the Initiate of the Sands and the Dawnwalker. So his units line up pretty well against Jez's units, but Jez decides that it's time to attack in with the two teachers anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
The
just
Sandstorm
trading
Titan,
off resources, so Jez still has the biggest unit on the board.
however, Lights Out Ace gets to get back the resources that he traded off, whereas Jez does not.
True.
Makes it a kind of questionable trade.
I mean, also
But
it
I
makes
suppose,
potential initiations a little harder to
yeah,
develop, so.
yeah, there's the Fear of Xenon Initiation, which is very reasonable, since it's a very powerful card in these Dawnwalker decks. And here's World Bear Behemoth to make for some big pressure that Jez currently does not have any way to deal with, even in the market, where the options currently are Nova Quake Titan, Disjunction, and Sandstorm Scarf. But it looks like it's time to dig into the market anyway and grab the Nova Quake Titan. However, Jez is going to need a bit more power to be able to make use of that, as 9 power plus 5 is not 16. Plus 5 is the most that he can get due to the Sandstorm Titan being the only Sentinel he has in play right now.
Yep, but I mean, just in a board stall, so Jez isn't under pressure to immediately spawn this Nova Quake Titan. So they're probably just going to take this damage. Maybe double block with like Carnosaur and Temple Scribe, but
I feel like you're supposed to double block because future attacks with the World Bearer just give Lights Out Ace more and more power
yeah, it
and
does snowball a
can
little.
start can snowball to the point that the disciplinary weights are no longer relevant. Interesting choice though there, blocking with the Sandstorm Titan and the Carnosaur. I feel like there's no real way to have gotten punished for blocking with the Scribe as well, and instead of the Sandstorm Titan. And if Lights Out Ace saw the situation, he could have perhaps killed the SST there,
Yeah, yeah, if he would have
making
had a read
the
for the Nova Quake Titan, so.
exactly.
But it looks like he
Now,
didn't here, and he's just gonna just get a massive tempo loss here for it, so.
I suppose it wouldn't have totally mattered killing the Sandstorm Titan anyway, because it looks like what's going to be bonding with the Novaquake Titan is going to be that Heart of the Vault. Except, does Lights Out Ace have enough power to play that cost increased Carnosaur?
He does. So we'll see what the Carnosaur decides to take out.
Why do you think that in the nature of Miria, dinosaurs choose to, or carnosaurs in particular, choose to try to eat things that result in both of them dying?
Sometimes your eyes are bigger than your stomach.
Yeah, or your mouth is bigger than your stomach, maybe, in this particular case.
But yeah, Lights Out is taking his time here. He could go for the value of just killing the Sandstorm Titan, which is also reasonable if he doesn't expect Nova Quake.
Right. It's going to feel really bad if he doesn't expect the Nova Quake because that's going to be the end of the game. But here's the thing, it won't end the game right away because there's no big units there to trade and or to deal that lethal damage. But I mean,
Yeah,
a
Lights Out
Sand
is we'll get time
Trooper
to redeploy
ability.
everything, but
Yeah,
Dawnwalkers are going to get silenced. So, I mean,
the silence is very relevant here.
well, Ace
The
actually loses 3 power if the Titan comes down between
Yeah,
Initiates and the
that as
Merchant,
well.
so he'll be down to 6, and
But Lights Out Ace has the torch,
that he can't play
and
quite yet, though.
and oh, he can't play right.
So, Jez might be able just to sneak through 2 turns of attacking and get lethal, since Titan is a 10-11. And here he's going to
Yeah,
get an attack in for 7
that is 7,
and put
including
another weights on, I believe.
a second weights. That is correct.
So,
Wait, how did Jez draw a card there? Jez doesn't have any relics in play.
the teacher.
Yeah, that was before the attacks, though. That was the
Oh,
card draw of
Temple
the Power
Scribe,
Stone.
maybe? I didn't catch it, so.
Yeah,
But
I don't
Ace
know.
is in real big trouble here now,
That's for sure.
since he could play Initiates and a Merchant for 5 power and hold up Torch. Maybe can chump
Yeah,
block to stay alive.
I mean, he needs to chomp block both of the big units, and then he's taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, he can also kill the Teacher of Humility and torch one of the units with the amount of power that he currently has, so he survives this turn, but
Well, Titan plus Power Stone, though, lets him.
yeah, that's going to be a kill onto the Dawnwalker. But with the torch, this still won't be lethal this turn. It's a lot of damage this turn, and if Jez manages to rip another Power Stone with the GKT, it's, well,
Close to lethal.
close to lethal.
But yeah, this just seems pretty tough for Lights Out to come back from.
Yeah. At this point, I'd say pretty much straight up impossible.
We'll see. Heart of the Vault, spin the wheel. 0 cost
And
and then a
hit
6 cost Trailmaker,
a
so.
6-cost Trailmaker.
I like that it teased Ace by showing that it was 0 first.
Yeah. Funny how that orders in the animations. So that means players are now 1-1, meaning it's now kind of down to a best of 3 with
Yep.
these 4 remaining decks.
And Lights Out can bring. One of the decks he kind of preaches a lot about is Xenon, or the new flavor of the set of Kinedans. Jez, I feel like we'll just pick JPS Nostrix.
Right. I hope to be able to get to see Kennedans today. Looks like the players dove right back into game, as there's not exactly any sideboarding to do.
Nope, just thinking about which lineups you want to, what deck you want to queue in. But Lights Out Ace did queue in Xenon, so And
And
there,
this looks like it is going to be the JPS list for Jez, as we do see the Shadow Sigil grabbed from that Seek Tower.
yep. So I think we can settle in for probably a bit of a long game here.
Yeah, that does seem like it's the sort of direction this is likely to go.
So lights out list looks fairly typical for Xena. I don't think I've seen. I think it's pretty similar to the list he wrote in his article. One Twin Brood, no other 5 drops. Leaning on
Right.
Vara's Choice, which he is a big fan of currently.
I mean, it breaks Genève Merchant's Aegis, and Vara's Choice is probably going to get the Nostrix. Maybe there's something to be said for getting the Merchant here, because it could mean that Jez doesn't have any plays for the next several turns. We, of course, know that it would.
Yeah,
And therefore, he does go with the Merchant. And
I think
I
that's
mean, that
reasonable.
kind of makes sense as well, because in the market, Jez could just go get another Nostrix.
Yep, and no units to currently buff with Nostrix means he has Lights Out has plenty of time to find either another Vara's Choice for Nostrix itself.
Right. Now, we do see that draw of Black Sky Harbinger, and of course the other draw of the Annihilate, and Lights Out Ace is deciding to go to Jez's face with that Vara's choice. Okay,
Vara's
it doesn't
Favor.
work. Favor, yes, favor, not choice.
Yeah.
Different cards.
I might have thought about just
Now
playing the Cabal tactic and playing Interrogator, holding Favor to pop Sheltering Rider Aegis, but it looks like he's valuing the combat trick.
there's a card you'd want to Vara's choice.
Yes.
Bacto is, of course, a scary, repetitive threat.
Yeah, here,
There is no escape.
here though,
And
we'll see if
that
Jez
sounds
does the attack to try to get Harbinger to kill Titan, or just goes for the Nostrix.
yeah, take the time to build up the big threats. It makes a bit of sense.
Yep.
That way, if Lights Out Ace does find some way to deal with Macto, there still is the Nostrix buff on all 3 other Mactos. Or at least 2 other Mactos. I don't know for sure if he's running 3, but it does seem to be kind of the core of his Big Flyers deck. You know, chat's making a point that we probably aren't going to see Kennedins, because I think that Praxis wasn't banned and it was Kennedins that was banned.
Yep.
Because Lights Out Ace has played that Praxis list.
Yep. I read the listing wrong. So in the website, it only tells me deck number. I just misread the order. So it doesn't tell me deck names. It's just the order of the decks that were submitted. So
Yeah,
I
that's a small
apologize, chat.
programming thing that we'll be able to fix, and just let's keep it up and running. So here, Lights Out Ace is giving Killer to his Ripknife Assassin so that he can send Macto back to the Destiny pile, somewhere in that top 10. And Western with the Elders is a good way to dig for that Macto. Jez, of course, gets to keep attacking in with the other units, the Pacifier and the Nostrix, and then gets to also get Black Sky Harbinger value, which includes killing off the Dawnwalker. And Lights Out Ace does get to play out Ion and follow up with uh, one of the 2 things that he can cast in his hand, but it's looking like it's going to be very tough for Lights Out Ace to win this game here. Showing that Jez has the more late game focused deck here, and
Yep. Lights Out just try to has to steal a win here with just various weird attacks and maybe a couple tricks. So
yeah, he's thinking that his only option is to race, and that is understandable, but those two cards right there are going to be pretty good at stopping the race.
yeah, and
Now, Jez will attack in with both, putting Lights Out Ace down to 2. 2 is not going to be his death, but then a silence on Ion means there's no world where
yeah, Lights Out is just so far behind.
Lights Out gains life from the Ion. He attacks in here with these two, and
I like it.
I mean, in this particular situation, Jez probably has to choose to block with the Valkyrie Enforcer just as a way to
I mean, there's
not get
nothing that
caught out or
kills
something.
from one
I mean,
power though. If he'd had another power up, he
fair.
could bluff the Cabal tactic, and that would have
Yeah.
killed him. But Lights
So
Out
that's
just
going to be game.
yep. So here we'll jump back to the correct screens for the decks. And yeah, so all Jess has left is the Huru deck we saw a little earlier. And then Lights Out Ace. Probably Xenon again? It would be my guess.
I mean, he has to win with both of them. So we'll see which one he brings first.
Yeah, I mean, so he might just flip a coin, but
Yeah. Run back the Xenon because it's less button presses.
possibly so. He did pick Xenon again. They jumped right back, so
Jez has some various different ways to supply repetitive pressure. This would be very good if Lights Out Ace were a more spells based deck because Jez could have 3 turns in a row of Svetyas. But here we see Vara's choice going to Jez's hand. And what do you think it's going to get here? Probably the Merchant?
uh, hmm, Merchant, maybe Shelterwing since his Ace is kind of light on power. Svetja's text doesn't really matter, so and Pacifier is just kind of whatever. Just a solid flyer, so the text also doesn't matter a ton. But he does take the pacifier just to slow down the early aggressive from Jez.
Right, and I suppose since he did see so much of Jez's hand there, he kind of expected that Jez might not need to use the Merchant to go grab pressure anyway.
Yep. So here, Jez had the small decision of playing the Cobalt Waystone and missing out on the. Well, I guess there's not much from Lights Out Ace that hits the face besides the Varas.
Right.
So,
And
but he
we've
could
already
have
seen
held
Lights
it
Out ACS.
in case, yeah. But then he might not be able to play Shelter Wings for different things. So it just lets him just curve out, a guaranteed curve out here. So Jez is thinking about his Merchant,
Yeah,
and he
so do
wants
you
his whole
think.
hand. So
Exactly. He chooses not to play anything, not even committing the Geneva Merchant as a source of pressure, which means Lights Out Ace gets the first play, and that's going to be the Aurelian Merchant. Well, Jez is going to be able to have 2 Shelterwing Riders now, and that is a pretty strong threat that Lights Out Ace doesn't really have a way to deal with, especially since he doesn't actually have the power to be playing those Carnosaurs. So instead, he's choosing to attack with the Auric Interrogator, and
yeah, just Dark
all
Return
that,
it and just draw some cards.
yeah,
Jez
all,
actually
all that
makes
would do
picks
would
up on
be
that. So
allowing him to Dark Return, and because of that, Jez decides not to block, and that's very reasonable here since the Shelterwing Riders currently are winning the race, and not allowing Lights Out Ace to draw cards from that Dark Returned
Yep. So do you
Oath
like?
Interrogator is probably a
So
good
it goes with
choice.
the mirror image here. I think it was either that or the Svetcha.
Yeah, either way would have been an option. I like the strategy of all this flying pressure since two of them hitting is lethal, but not due to the Ion being here, but still.
Yeah. I think Svetcha covers the same base since I don't think Ace has any fast speed interaction. So
I would say Flyers covers the aggro base a bit better because Svetia could be blocked, and since Lights Out Ace did play that Ion,
yeah,
that
iron is another
means that there
consideration.
is the life gain for Lights Out Ace,
Yep.
which
But
is
here we
not
just
going to be
see.
enough for him to survive this attack. So, congratulations to Jez for winning that match and thus winning our tournament. I think we're going to take a bit of a break and maybe come back with a caster feature match or something, some sort of bonus match, because it looks like we're only going to wind up going for these for 3 rounds for the tournament itself.
Yep. So short break, everyone. Figure out if we will bring another match or something. So see you in shortly.
Welcome back. We are getting set up for a feature match between our tournament organizer Duncan Wren and one of the players, Eric Kyoto. It's going to be a mirror match conquest between
All
with
Ikaria, all the time.
with the four decks that Eric Kyoto brought, which are each different faction setup of Ikaria, as in Ikaria Rakano, Ikaria Blue, Ikaria Black, and Ikaria Gold, or Ikaria White, whatever you want to call it.
I just
But
call it
for
Ikaria
now,
life.
but for now, we're going to really quickly take this moment to talk about our events and our sponsors. So, we are, of course, starting off the Great Parliaments, or Eternal Community League, as we're calling it, which is going to have monthly invitationals that you can fund yourself and do so for free, even by clicking the link that's going to show up in our chat or down in the description below the stream. You can click on the support TGP on Matcherino segment, and that'll take you to the place where you can enter the coupon code ECL August 18 to add 50 cents to the prize pool for the low price of free. You can also visit some various sponsors, Matcherino sponsors, to add to the prize pool looking for no cost to yourself. And there are various ways to support us by spending some money as well if you feel like you want to see the players in the invitational be playing for even more money. So now, how are these players going to be able to get into the invitational?
So they get there by playing in any four of the weekly events that we have and accumulating points. And so most of these are going to be simple points. So we have the ECL Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Every Tuesday, it's going to be just have to bring one deck, and it's going to be Swiss style, best of three, markets only, but only 4 round max. Oh, it's brief for everyone playing on a weeknight, and the time is more set up for NA players, but if you're available and want to play, you're more than welcome. Same with Thursday. That event is time is geared towards our EU and other areas of the world. So that's going to be a 2 p.m. EDT. Same formatting as Tuesdays, Swiss, best of three, 4 round cap. And then we also have the old standby of the casual Fridays at the new time of 6 p.m. And again, Swiss, best of three with markets and 4 round cap. Sunday is our new large event, and that's going to be Sunday Conquest. They will start at 12 p.m. every Sunday except for invitational days. And it's going to be Swiss, 4 decks, 1 band with a cut to top 8 as long as we have the number of participants for it.
Just like the tournament you guys just saw. And with the number of points that are going to be on the line for that Sunday challenge, since the points are doubled, and there's even larger additional prizes for first and second and
Yeah, top 8 get bonus points depending on where
yeah,
you finish.
the whole top 8, exactly.
Yep, and that's going to be 2 points for a match win throughout the Swiss. I'm not sure about if we're awarding those points in the top 8 as well. I will double check with our organizer, Reshef. And then, yep, Tuesdays and Thursdays are 1 point for a match win. Casual Friday is just going to award a point for showing up. So newer players, or if you want to bring something fun or wacky and try it out, you don't feel as much pressure. Note you'd have to play 2 rounds to get the participation point for each event.
So if you're like RNG and fold after 1 round, if you drop right away, you're not going to wind up getting those participation points.
Yep.
Only throwing him under the bus because that's what he did this particular tournament.
No, he probably just had some busy things to do. So
yeah, he's a busy guy.
Yep.
And as well, the Great Parliament is sponsored by Inked Gaming. You can go to the Inked Gaming link. You just click on that Inked Gaming banner below the stream to go straight to Inked Gaming, and then at checkout you can use the code TGP12 to get 12% off your order. That, of course, supports us if you do so.
Yep. And as another producer Phoenix noted, this coming Thursday will be the first event with league points. So if everyone wants to get a head start, jump in on that. We may be streaming that as well, along with the other events. We are still coordinating some of those setups. But yeah, everyone.
We have not had Thursday streams in the past, but that's something that we're hopefully looking to change if we can figure out the timing for our producer team. And it looks like we're ready to dive into our feature match between Icarias and Icarias.
Yep. What side do you want to watch? Oh, I'll make this easy. I'm going to grab Eric. You can have that weird producer, or that weird TO guy.
Okay. It's definitely doesn't mean I need to add him or anything.
Well, then we'll still have a time to get set up, so. But yeah, for those just tuning in, it is going to be, each player has 4 Icaria decks, so. I believe we have Icaria Black, Icaria Blue, Icaria Gold, and Icaria Green, as Eric decided to name it. And it's just the Rakano deck. So if you love, if Icaria is Bay and Icaria is Life, then this is the perfect match for you.
That it is. We're doing this in a conquest format.
So do not know what decks were banned.
We do actually.
You do, okay.
Yes, Duncan banned Irikyoto's Icaria Blue, and Irikyoto banned Duncan's Icaria Black.
Okay.
So let's dive on in to the match. It looks like both players decided to... Nope. Never mind. Duncan decided to start it off simple, but Irikyoto's starting it off white.
Okay.
making use of that time. Duncan is saying he doesn't remember which list he's on,
Oh, this is gonna be real fun then.
but it definitely looks to be the Rakana version. Now, Eric Kyoto has a nice charge rod start, but this is not a charge rod deck, as far as I know.
Don't believe so. Still can have. I mean, Bullet Shaper just leads to explosive draws. So
For sure. Sorry, just had to cough though. Duncan Wren has figured out at this point that he is probably on his Icaria list, which I do believe he is. But right now, Eric Kyoto definitely has the early advantage. Then again, an early advantage can be turned around pretty quickly with a harsh rule.
yep. But I think we're just gonna have a little bit of slower games here since both are just kind of building up to a powerful finisher.
What powerful finisher would that be?
Razan.
Well, with the help of Bullet Shaper, Duncan could play Rizan next turn. But it looks like instead he's going for a Orc Runehammer to kill off the Valkyrie Enforcer, and that means that in theory the hammer should survive, but it's not going to because Irikyoto's playing Icaria, and
Yep.
that's putting Duncan in a tough situation where he's at 12 and doesn't have a way to deal with that Icaria right now.
He has a blocker.
Yeah, the Amelie was a good draw because that is a blocker that matches up well against a 7/5 Icaria. I mean, fairly well in that it doesn't die, but the Icaria still gets the Warcry 5 trigger, and also Arikyoto can just follow up with a Rizan to kill the Amelie.
Yeah.
So
But Eric didn't
it's
have the
not
power
actually
for
going
it,
to
so
turn out very well. True, true. Right, he's only at 5 because he had jumped up to 7 using a Bullet Shaper.
but
Speaking of Bullet
Akari's just
Shaper,
gonna get a bunch of Warcry triggers. So
yeah. Speaking of Bullet Shaper, we see quite a few here. I like Duncan's choice to attack in with the Amelie here because that means that he's going to be able to use the Valkyries as blockers, but it's going to get punished by that Purify, allowing Irikyoto to attack in with the Icaria uncontested. However, he's just attacking right away instead, so it looks like he's instead interested in
just pushing damage.
using
Yeah.
the Purify on the turn where his damage from the Icaria is going to be lethal.
Yep. Yeah. Just kill. Or he's gonna purify now. Okay. Yeah, it does about the same
Yeah,
thing.
and that
So
that stops Duncan from being able to continually create blockers, which is definitely a good choice to make. And if you look here, I think what Duncan has to do is
he's gonna Bullet Shaper for Razan
yeah,
and pop the Aegis.
and
He does
that
get to
just
block, so
Break the Aegis is a viable blocker and allows him to harsh rule as a follow up.
here I think Eric is just going to Bullet Shaper plus Privilege of Rank. Interesting that he's choosing to attack here when the I guess the Warcry triggers, so it's
Yeah,
still worth it.
the Warcry triggers are very powerful. And
Sometimes forget that Akari has 10 different keywords.
yeah, and trading off with Rizan, well, there are fewer than 3 spells in Duncan's Void is also of value.
Yep.
Eric Kyoto does choose to just play the other Bullet Shaper and straight up play the Privilege of Rank, as that way he'll be able to hold off on his Razan and maybe play it later. It looks like with an attack like that, Duncan Wren would definitely be representing a harsh rule,
Yeah,
but
I don't think he needs to. I mean, he has the more units on board, so yeah, just sitting here, wait. But
exactly.
here comes
I
the
mean,
Razan to kill Whirling Duo.
yeah, it is something definitely to be weary of from Duncan's side of things,
Yeah.
that Eric Kyoto could just top deck a 10-10 Ikaria for lethal.
Yep,
But
but
then
here we
again,
see just
harsh
a.
ruling there wouldn't exactly change that anyway.
Nope. But now we just see a giant Diogo on top, so.
Yeah, Giant Diogo is actually a reason to not harsh rule, because that is going to be lethal if Duncan doesn't, or does harsh rule, not if he doesn't. Ooh,
Yep.
he's attacking with the melee
I
because,
think we're getting a harsh roll here.
yeah, that Razan is a big threat and does kind of seem to need it, but that's not going to work out well for
No, Duncan's gonna get Diogo Montoya in his face.
him. Diego Malaga, actually.
I know what I said.
And
That'll
whack.
do that game, so.
Definitely.
And then.
So Eric Kyoto is now up 1-0 over Duncan Wren in
Yes.
our Ikaria mirror monstrosity match.
Yeah, the bans were. Remind me again?
Okay, Duncan banned Eric Kyoto's Ikaria Blue, and Eric Kyoto banned Duncan's Ikaria Black.
Okay. So we
Which
have
means
those
Duncan
now.
still has 3 different Ikaria decks to win with, and Eric Kyoto has 2 to win with. And
Yep.
players are diving right on in, so let's see how it goes.
Yep. See if we can limit random Ikaria talks this game, but. So, Kyoto queued up the Rakano variant.
And I'm having to exit and go back in because spectator glitches.
Okay.
There we are.
And then
Ready.
Duncan
Let's.
chose Ikaria Gold.
Yep. So it looks like there's not going to be a huge amount of action early, but Gary Kyoto definitely has access to his market, and you know what? So does Duncan with that Winchester Merchant as well. How do you feel about choosing Winchester Merchant as the merchant to use here?
Well, it's a flyer, which is relevant for chip shot damage, and then it grabs close to similar cards as a fire, just because both of them get Ikaria or Razan for a
I
power.
imagine I imagine Winchester Merchant is the choice because it can also grab Harsh Rule.
Yes, that's yeah. Well, this deck does have a ton of units, so
But as you can see, there's Harsh Rules. At least as I can see, there are Harsh Rules in Duncan's sideboard.
yes.
And it does make a fair bit of sense to be running Harsh Rule with charge units.
Yep. All of the decks feature the Winchester Merchant, so they all have pretty close to similar markets of a Harsh Rule, Razan, Ikaria, Vanquish, and then random other last card.
I also want to shout out Direwolf for these premium card backs. It's a lot of fun to spin the barrel on Duncan's deck. And pretty soon, Twitch Prime users are going to get a doorback, a, a doorbot card back.
Yeah, I think we're all excited for some free loot from Direwolf. And Twitch drops
Definitely.
another test stream on Monday with LSV, so they're starting to
Make sure.
ramp up more advertising. I think it's a great
Yeah,
sign for the game.
definitely. And Twitch is a very logical place to be advertising for a game of this caliber.
Yep. I know I'm enjoying the game a lot right now too.
Absolutely. I feel that the Dusk Road has, or not the Dusk Road,
The
sorry, the
fall of
Fall of
Argenport
Argenport.
ushered in a new era.
And even though there was that period of time where Blitz was very powerful, it wasn't even necessarily completely dominant, especially in like tournament formats. And I feel like there has been a fairly diverse meta.
Yeah, everything's have changed up, but so back on the game, we see Duncan kind of just has a lot of power in hand and then some removal and a Desert Marshal. Not a whole lot with this hand. This Rizon definitely staying on top, but
Absolutely, that's a way to kill off the Baby Icaria or the Winchest Merchant, while also providing some pressure to keep fighting Eric Kyoto here.
ooh, not sure about this Desert Marshal.
I mean, it saves 3 damage, and
Yes, but I think the top end of Eric's deck is just so powerful that, and then silence he needs them just to like a Razan or a Millie or like pop Akara Aegis. So I think it's just so much utility, but
right.
it is a little
Something
strained in the
also,
matchup.
something also worth note in this particular matchup. End of the story could, in theory, go through an Ikaria's Aegis,
It could. And here you see Duncan all the way down to 8 already.
because he spent the turn ulting Diogo. That's a very interesting choice because
And here he,
I mean he does still get to Rajan and Vanquish the same turn.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if end of the stories would have been better there, but we'll see how this plays out for Duncan.
I imagine he wants to keep the end of the story for future times because he does manage to clear out the board and put Eric Kyoto on notice for sure.
Yep. So here we're just gonna see the Amelie come down now, and it's
And now
lethal.
it's starting to, yeah, now it's looking like it's going to be an end of the story time.
His attack is interesting. So yeah, he's gonna end the story. Could have seen
Yeah,
an argument
that's
for just purify on a Millie and leave Diogo back to block, but I think Duncan's plan now is to find a giant unit that got buffed. They got
yeah,
charge and double
like
damage with
that.
Diogo, and there's one.
It's not lethal, but
It gives him a blocker.
yep, and that's one of the things he definitely needs.
But yeah, we'll see if Eric draws Falcon Forcer. Doesn't do it though.
So he's gonna have to spend the turn harsh one.
Yep.
He chooses to play into the story, the more expensive one here, because the only units with Aegis in Duncan's deck are going to be lethal if they do show up anyway.
But he missed for this turn, so
That he did.
I
Top
think
deck wars.
so. Rise
Ooh.
probably for Akaria. I mean, it's lethal the
Well,
next turn, and then play Enforcer as a blocker.
is it possible? Are there rune hammers?
Oh,
Because Rise for Runehammer would be game.
I would assume there are. I did not check, but there are 2 rune hammers.
Oh, that works
Duo.
too. That works too.
No, it doesn't. I guess
Yes, it
Torch, yes.
does. So
Interesting
Eric
that he.
Kyoto showing his mastery of the matchup so far and
I think.
his ability to get better top decks than Duncan.
I think Runehammer is probably still the safer play because it doesn't lose to Torch.
Yeah.
But I guess Eric was at 3, so it didn't matter. I'm wrong.
Right.
Apologies, our viewers.
You better be sorry. So that means that Eric Kyoto's now down to Icaria Black, the shadow version of these Icaria decks.
So it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like they're taking just a minute to get into the last game. 'Cause it looks like th
That's totally understandable. Woo wee, I'm yawning quite a bit. All right, they're in. So let's dive in with them.
So, yep. What did Duncan choose to bring for this round? Looks like Icaria
Icaria
Blue.
Blue. Give it a chance to see some play here, because otherwise it wouldn't have if Ericioto just straight up wins this game here. But let's see if that happens. So it's interesting that Ericioto's running the.
Stone Powder Alchemist.
Yeah,
I'm not seen that in a while in his deck list. More it's the three faction Gunslinger decks. But I guess
yeah.
it is decent against some of the aggro decks.
Oh yes, I've seen this version of Icaria decks running around. It's the kind of deck that makes use of revenge units so that it doesn't feel bad about harsh ruling. I have seen this fairly recently, and it looks like Duncan's once again gonna have to have a slow hand here.
Yeah, I think both these decks are a little more slower in controlling side, so Kyoto's just gonna do some random chip shot damage with Stone Powder Alchemist.
Right. So Duncan did go with Wisdom of the Elders play and drew into more things that aren't really convenient to play here, but the Svetio is going to probably work out. That locks down Kyoto's kill spell, but it's not going to lock down the Valkyrie Enforcer.
Nope. Yeah, Eric's just gonna play the Enforcer as a just a little tempo play.
So Duncan's considering attacking the Svetio,
He's
but
gonna
he's going to start off with the Hailstorm instead,
looks like a better
because
play.
that guarantees Svetio will get in, and then he just holds up a torch.
Yep. So actually, just gonna play the Stone Powder Alchemist here. I don't think this is worthy of a torch from Duncan quite yet.
And I'm not sure if this Svetio is worthy of a slay here from Arikyoto, but it looks like that's what he's going for anyway. And in response to that, the Stone Powder Alchemist is going to get torched.
I don't like that torch really from Duncan. I mean, he has another Svetja to block the Stone Powder Alchemist, and it's just a 2-1.
I do
So
get the logic behind it, because in this particular matchup, you know that Eric Kyoto's primary way of playing is to have those revenge units in play when he commits a Hearts rule, and being able to make it so those revenge units have their revenge spent is going to make the Hearts rule a lot less valuable for Eric Kyoto.
true. But I think I would just prefer the torch on like a Vulcan Force or popping a Kara Aegis. Just a little more value, but we'll see if Duncan's line how it works out for him. I mean, Eric is
We
down
shall
way down
see.
on cards now, so he's under a pretty decent amount of pressure here.
And Annihilate will be killing the Tutu, but not the Rizan. Look who's back.
Two of them, or
Just
is it
one of
just the
them.
animation?
Just one of the two came back.
Okay, so my screen glitched out a little for a second. I like Duncan wisdoming now.
Well, this is another great hailstorm turn.
Yeah, in for
That's going
5,
to.
and then
Yeah, and Duncan is now ahead on board, for sure.
but Eric has an Icaria.
Yeah, and Duncan currently can't play his own carriers.
No, he's gonna have to take another, eat another Warcry trigger here. Just torch and then Island's favor or Island's choice.
Yeah, That is correct.
So,
Unless Eric Kyoto for some reason wants to block, which I think would be a mistake. And it's also very possible that those Warcry triggers are going on a unit with Destiny.
yeah, it does have several of those, so.
So here we're going to see Duncan make use of his 2 fast spells to kill off the Ikaria.
Yep. And then I think Eric's just going to follow up with only Mokto, doesn't need to play the Vanquish.
I think he's going to play the Vanquish here just because that keeps him as safe as possible in the race.
I mean, Mokto could just block.
Yeah, but then that's a trade, and you'd much rather block Ikaria, though Duncan does not draw the firepower he would need to be able to play that Ikaria. So he's instead diving into the market, where he's probably going to grab that Jack, because that is a way to silence
Yep.
his opponent's Macto.
Yeah, Duncan is notably missing. He was missing a 7th power, but still only the 2 fire influence, so. But there's a 13-13 Valkyrie Enforcer.
Well, that's terrifying.
I think it's going to come down and silence the Flyer.
That's what I would have silenced here.
Yeah. Svetch's ability is so expensive and slow. Like, 8 power and exhaust it to not even put a unit on the board.
Yeah, I mean, do we know if the Ikaria Blue list is running any copies of Mirror Image? Because perhaps that's what Eric Kyoto's worried about?
I do not see any mirror image. But you might just think the game is going to go longer than it would appear to us, so.
Well, look, Eric Kyoto's having to leave back Macto as a blocker.
Yeah.
And that means he's going to go down to 2, and Duncan can follow up with
Svetcha and block any kind of sweeper.
I'd like I'd like following up with Throne Warden personally, because that would put him out of lethal range from an attack from the Valkyrie Enforcer.
Oh yeah, I forgot it came unstunned. So yeah, Throne Warden would have been able to do about the same and cover more bases.
Because, like, a harsh rule or end of the story would kill the 13-13 as well.
Yep.
But instead, we see this, and this is going to work out for Duncan anyway, because he
Drew the
can...
fire source. I think he had lethal anyways. Because the Alchemist would have had to block Jekt.
Yeah, he had various different methods of delivering lethal there, and that's playing the Ikaria is the one he chose. So, congratulations to Duncan for at least winning one game in this interesting Ikaria match.
Yep. We'll see what they will jump into now. We know what Eric is going to be bringing.
That is true, and we won't be seeing a true mirror here. Did we ever see the true mirror? No, we didn't.
Nope. Looks like Duncan's taking a little bit of time to figure out what he wants to bring exactly. I'm not sure if he'll bring just Rakano Valkyrie or if he'll bring Ikaria Gold.
We shall see. See, just like my push to talk button.
Yep.
Looks like they've dove in.
Alright. What do we get?
We get Ikaria Gold versus Ikaria Black.
Alright.
And it looks like the players are eager to get right into the game.
Yep. Didn't even let the spectator finish getting in.
So here we are. Duncan Ren's going to be able to have a turn 2 Bullet Shaper and then access to Valkyrie Enforcers. But right now, Eric Kyoto doesn't really have anything that needs to be enforced.
Yeah. But Duncan gets the early Bullet Shaper to potentially have a high roll turn, whereas Eric's just going to be developing, trying to answer threats.
That Purify is something he could discard to the Bullet Shaper, but there's still nothing that he would get to play after that Shaper.
Yep.
So it's
We
probably
know
not
there's
going to be used yet.
we
But
do know there's
it's
large
still,
things lurking, so
yeah, it's still definitely worth considering playing here, but it looks like Duncan's instead going to go for the Scout effect off of his crest instead.
yep. Just get the
And
undepleted power
he,
out of the way.
yeah, he sees the Rizan up on the top and keeps it there because that is a threat that he will be able to play next turn.
Yep. So Bullet Shaper down. We'll see if Eric goes ahead and slays this, just to slow down Duncan.
It's definitely something worth considering because the Bullet Shapers are responsible for such explosive turns.
Yeah.
But then again, it's also worth considering what would be the more greedy play here, which is rise to the challenge for let's see what he gets.
Maybe Hammer or a Razan, a Karia. I think I like any of those.
Macto.
Macro would be bigger. He goes for the Ikaria. A little ways, still a fire influence short of casting it.
Yeah, I feel like I would have been more interested in the plan of grabbing the Macto, but then again, he knows that his opponent is on the version of the list with infinite silence.
Yes. So Duncan's
And
hoping to set up a turn 5 Ikaria here if he draws a power.
yeah, he decides that that is more exciting than a turn 4 Rizan,
Yep.
which of course would have just died to the sleigh that instead killed the Bullet Shaper.
Yep. Eric chooses wisely to kill the Bullet Shaper.
And the death of that Bullet Shaper is why I perhaps would have been wanting to make use of its ability as soon as possible, because you know that your opponent has quite a bit of different removal.
Yep.
But it's also very possible that Duncan is able to just draw into the power he needs to play these big Valkyrie anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Razan's not great just playing it and shooting face, since it could just die to a Rune Hammer straight away, and so he didn't have anything that he could kill, so didn't need to activate Bullet Shaper, and just
So
kind of throw a
Torch goes
card
to
away.
the bottom for
Okay.
Duncan.
Here, Eric's gonna attack with a melee.
Yep.
And just play Stone Powder Alchemist plus a seat.
Currently, Eric Kyoto is definitely winning the race on board, but Duncan is kind of winning the race to Ikaria.
Yeah, he's got the influence and can cast it next turn.
He also has the Razan this turn, which is going to pop that guy, that Alchemist Revenge. Worth note, Rajan does not have lifesteal right now, as there are 0 spells in Duncan's Void.
Yep. Here I think Vanquish or Slay on Razan.
Does with the Vanquish because there's more things that Slay hits than things that Vanquish hits.
Yep. I'm not sure about
And
holding the power from Eric. I know he has merchants, but the deck also just needs to be able to multi-spell sometimes. But here is his Ikaria.
going to be able to play his own Ikaria this turn. Let's see if that's what he goes with. He could also consider playing the Valkyrie Enforcer and Slay to deal with his opponent's Ikaria, which does seem to be the route he's going to take. However, that will leave Duncan open to use Desert Marshal, and then on his turn, perhaps Valkyrie Enforcer, to deal with Air Kyoto's
Well,
Ikaria,
but
or
Duncan here,
instead,
interesting. I mean, he's threatening lethal damage, so in the air.
Yeah, he's threatening lethal and still has the Desert Marshal to ambush in, which is going to be lethal on this current board because Erikyoto doesn't have the power to play the Stone Powder
Yep.
Alchemist. So with that, it's going to be down to a one-on-one.
Duncan immediately with a card off the top, so
Yeah, might as
as
well.
the fashion of the card.
Yep, 10-10 Akario too.
Yep.
Erikyoto will take it all, go to negative 15, and we're going to get to see Erikyoto on this Akario Black deck that it's starting to seem like might have been an incorrect ban versus Duncan on the pure Rakano Akario list.
Yeah. Although getting more hard removal might make him advantaged in the matchup. We shall see. As the players jump right back in. No sideboards and no other decks left to pick from, so
Makes sense. So Duncan Ryan keeps a hand that should allow him a turn 4 rise to the challenge, and has access to Runehammer as a way to deal with something. Whatever you decide to deal with.
yep. Eric's hand is pretty awkward here. Just no fire yet. All basic sigils, not even some scouts from Cress.
Yeah. That is definitely tough for him. What does he have in the market? Perhaps a way to get fire influence?
I think he might in this list. Let's look. He does not. He has no power in any of his markets.
Well then.
He does have Call to Deck here, which is, I guess, playing Stonepad Alchemist is probably still just better for now. Be more efficient.
Absolutely.
And just get more information about what you want to call for specifically. Maybe you don't need a fire sigil at some point or a fire influence.
Yeah. Now for Duncan, I could respect going off cycle and playing a Whirling Doe there instead, but he's instead setting up for the turn 5 Amelie, which is going to be very powerful as a 6/8.
Yeah. Here I like just calling first, potentially saving Var's favors for again Aegis Pop or a Rune Hammer that we know is lurking for Duncan.
Right. Currently, Erikyoto has no removal to deal with that Amelie.
It does not, and he knows Duncan rose for presumably a threat this turn. So
I mean, what else would you rise for?
not a
Even
threat.
like a Runehammer is a threat, really.
Well, so Eric chooses to go with the Var's favor first and call now. I think I would have preferred the other way, but since you have plenty of shadow sources already.
This strategy hides the fact that you have an additional Shadow Sigil in your hand.
It does. Well, I don't know if I would
A
have
small
played the.
percentage points of hiding information.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just don't think I would have hid the or played the favor here because also Baby Akaria, Runehammer, Aegis Pops, like it's pretty valuable. Here he draws another one right off the top though. But he's gonna play the fire
Easy.
source. He has no shadow sigils left actually, so maybe that was a consideration as well. Why he played the Var's favor.
Yeah, maybe just to clear his deck out of Shadow Sigils to increase very slightly his chance of getting a Fire Sigil off the Call of the deck.
Or just nervous about drawing one and not getting max value out of Var's favor, so
Right.
we'll see. Duncan did not play Amelie here.
No,
Just gonna set up
he,
Rise for. I guess he had 7th
Yeah.
power, so Akaria.
Yeah, he has chosen to hold off on the Amelie and instead just do other things like play the Whirling Duo, attack with the Whirling Duo, play the Rise to the Challenge, and last turn play the Baby Akaria and ult the Baby Akaria
Yep.
so that Amelie is a 7/9. Yeah, it's a big Valkyrie.
It is.
And
And now Akari cannot attack into this Mocto, really.
I mean, she can attack, but
But,
it's suicidal.
yeah, it's
So
about a push
instead,
on value, so.
Amelie is going to show up, and I like attacking here with Whirling Dough because it means that Torch will kill off the Macto and maybe get some turns without
Nope.
Macto. Or
Immediately
Macto will
back.
just do his thing. That is
Uh,
RNG for you.
yep. I'm not sure the. I think Annihilate needs to come down. But I don't think Merchant, because you want both of these cards. I mean, Rise is an Akari or Razan, which is the same as what Winchester Merchant is. So,
Annihilate is a strong play here because it means that Urgota gets to attack him with all his units, but it looks like he's going to take the play of not attacking with Macto because he knows that Duncan would have been able to rise for an Ikaria.
yep. And Makto could not attack yet, so we'll see Duncan. I think
Right.
this baby Akari is going to go to the bottom. He keeps it on top. Interesting. I guess it does. He does know it becomes a 5/5 that he can
Yeah,
immediately ultimate.
6/6 even.
Yeah, 6/6, and then he can ultimate as well the same turn. So
Yeah, that's fairly understandable. But at this point, I feel like Arcyoto is still advantaged in the match
yeah.
in the matchup.
So what do you like, Eric, on this turn? Rise for the Destiny Mocto, just draw a card, or just get a card that he probably can't cast with the. He gets a different Mocto. Okay.
Yeah, I like the getting a different Mocto plan here because it just increases the number of Moctos that are going to be in your cycle. And look,
Yeah.
there's that Mocto.
Yeah. Eric's Moctos this game have been first card hit, second card hit, off the Destiny triggers, I believe, or off the Revenge. So
Been pretty crazy for sure. And Duncan does get to ult the Ikaria, which triggers her influence ability, so she's now a 9/8.
yep. So
It's good for blocking Moctos.
it is. So Eric could get greedy here and cast Call before the Mocto, but it's really risky if he
Well,
whiffs.
yeah, I mean, then you're also calling specifically for undepleted power.
Yep.
So I prefer just playing the Macto here because it means that
Yeah,
an
just gonna
attack
double
with
block.
this Ikaria instead is going to result in the Ikaria dying and only one of the Mactos dying from the attack, but then
The Runehammer. But then Runehammer just gets eaten by Merchant, but
Yep,
this is gonna be a slog for Duncan to get through. I mean,
definitely.
only has Valkyrie forces to silence Moctos, so
Yeah. This is definitely the hardest of the three matchups for the to get through this deck that Eric Yoda's playing.
yeah. I don't know what went to the bottom for Eric, but hopefully not the other Mocto.
It could be possible. With his luck, it might well have been.
Yep. So what are we merchanting for now? A Vanquish. Okay.
Just a way to deal with the next threat that Duncan plays, and here is that said threat.
Yep. So yeah, Vanquish here and Stone Powder Alchemist. Attack in with your flyers.
Somehow, in spite of all of this, both players are at 26 right now.
Lots of lifesteal going on in these matches. Eric has Alchemists and Razans.
There is a Valkyrie Enforcer to deal with one Macto, but we know that there's always more.
Yeah, the second Destiny one is also bigger. And
Which implies
speak.
that that one definitely did not get sent to the bottom, because why would you send a 7 power Macto to the bottom when
Yep.
you could send a 5 power Macto to the bottom instead?
So does Eric have lethal next turn? He goes to
He
14,
does.
7, 8, 9. He does not. He needs
No,
another
he
removal.
doesn't.
Eric needs a removal
You're right.
spell. That one does not
Well,
do it though.
that one does not do it exactly.
But
Yeah, because he can't play the Razan. He only has the one fire influence.
yep. Here Duncan has to block the Mocto.
So Duncan has a turn to draw a Harsh Roll
But we see that he draws.
or a Merchant.
I guess he's looking
That
at.
is not a
Draws
Harsh
the
Roll.
Razan. Does that save him?
No.
Has lifesteal, he would go to 9. It would have, but this Alchemist is lethal, so yeah, he could have blocked the 7/5. But now it's lethal, I believe. No, still not lethal.
No, it's not. Math is hard.
Math is for the players.
Yeah. So Duncan is somehow holding on, barely.
But he needs to draw something pretty good this turn.
And Rakana Banner is not that. So, congratulations to Eric Kato for proving his mastery of the Icaria decks in the Icaria deck mirror match.
Yep, so congrats to Eric for winning our bonus match. I want to thank all the players that came out today.
And congratulate Jez for winning tonight's tournament.
Yep. So that will do it for us today. So, and we will catch everyone Tuesday. So, and I want to thank Cygnus for hanging out with me and casting a little bit. Duncan
I
for
want to thank
TOing.
The Rock for hanging out and casting with me, and of course Duncan for TOing and playing that bonus match right there.
Yep. So we will. Any more
Also,
announcements?
we want to thank all the viewers for joining us to watch this tournament, and recommend that if any of you guys are interested in playing Eternal for a cash prize, you guys should get into these ECL tournaments, starting with Thursday's event.
Yep. League officially starts on Thursday. You can even crack all those new Twitch Prime packs beforehand. But Tuesday will be the last chance you can practice in the event, get a feel for it. And hope to see everyone out. So, with that, we will see you all next time.
Thank you very much for being here today.